Oh my god. Now, this is just one of those things where it's like, it's just so typical, and I'm just so freaked out. And anyway, if you haven't heard, which I'm sure you've heard, that's the reason you're clicking on this video. Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury just went to war, well, kind of war, for 10 minutes. I say 10 minutes. 10 rounds, 30 minutes, and it was a split decision. I had no idea who they were going to give it to at the end of the fight. Fury was dropped by Francis, and I put a cheeky little bet on, folks. And I tell you, when I was so sure I would get this bet, was as soon as Fury hit the canvas in the third round or second round, I said, oh my god, I'm going to be rich. I put £10 on there to be a knockdown from both men, and I would have gotten an extraordinarily good deal back. However, my thinking was, this is perfect. Ngannou's knocked him down, now Fury will knock him down in the later rounds. Ngannou lasted with the cardio. Ngannou was countering Fury. Ngannou was fighting from orthodox and fighting from southpaw. That was a phenomenal showcase. Fair play to Francis Ngannou. I take back everything I said about him not having a horse in this race. However, I do feel everyone was kind of with me, and I feel like this is kind of an embarrassment. Tyson Fury was very humble. In the post-fight speech, he said himself, fair play to Francis. He's a very good fighter. I'm kind of taken back by it. That's not what I expected. Guys, how good would Usyk look against Fury? And I mean, Tyson Fury was really trying to walk Ngannou down, but then he's seen a few times Ngannou got the double unders, put his head under Fury's shoulder, came up the other side, and you can just see that little bit of MMA in him, that little bit of, I know what to do in this situation. Fury couldn't bully him. Fury would, I think, bully a smaller opponent, Dylan White, people like this. But I must say, after watching that, Fury Usyk becomes a lot more interesting. I said even in my breakdown for this fight, Tyson Fury's last few performances have not looked that great. The Chisora performance and the Dylan White performance were alright. They were okay, but ring rust, I think, really does affect Tyson Fury. Do you remember when he was fighting people like Otto Wallin, Deontay Wilder? What's the other boy's name? I can't remember, but it was all on the trot. It was 4 fights in like 15 months or something. He's not who he was. He definitely isn't who he was, but he's still a phenomenal boxer. And even there, I was like, this man is using every ounce of his 30 years of boxing experience to beat Francis Ngannou in his debut. Of course, Francis is awkward, but I don't think he necessarily presented anything too awkward apart from blunt force trauma. And people are going to say, Fury went head to head with Wilder, traded with him in the pocket. It's a different type of blunt trauma when it's a big man. I mean, Ngannou's built like a giant tree trunk of a thing. Wilder's slippery and wiry and can plod in and catch you. If Ngannou catches you, you're rattled and you're fucked. And I get it's the same with Wilder, but honestly, folks, that was an appalling performance from Fury. It shouldn't be, because obviously Ngannou has fought before. But it's an embarrassment, the fact that it was close and I didn't know who won. I had no clue who they were going to give it to. Because even when you'd think Fury was taking rounds, Ngannou was landing odd uppercuts in the clinch, on the break, landing uppercuts. Ngannou's face didn't look too bad. Fury's face all swollen. There was a head clash earlier. We caught on the top of Fury's head, and it's just like, wowee. This is unbelievable, folks. And obviously the 23rd of December will not happen. The 23rd of December will not happen. Fury said in the post-fight speech he's gonna go home, rest, see what he wants to do. I think it's better that it does happen, because Fury didn't sustain any massive impact, any trauma. The knockdown didn't massively phase him, he says, and it's better get Fury out there maybe January, February, and just get him back busy again, because you need him fighting consistently. And now that he's managed to get that ring rust off, I think he'd go into the Usyk fight a lot sharper. Usyk is a smaller man, you can use that bullying style a bit more, but you couldn't bully Ngannou the way he thought he would be. Ngannou didn't tire the way he thought. Ngannou did phenomenal, and Ngannou has nothing but proud to be of himself. I think Ngannou could beat Joshua, Joshua would be more tentative than Fury was, and I think Ngannou would put him away, in all honesty, which is just, I cannot believe I'm saying that. If someone had said to me, who would you take, Ngannou or Joshua? Anthony Joshua. I mean, I might be a bit like, Ngannou could do it because Joshua's a pussy, but maybe Ngannou does beat Joshua. After seeing that, I'm convinced actually Ngannou would wipe the floor with Anthony Joshua. And of course, it's a better stylistic matchup, but Anthony Joshua would not do that well against Tyson Fury whatsoever. So where do you rate Francis Ngannou now in the top 5 heavyweights? Number 2, number 3? So maybe Wilder and Ngannou can fight for their number 1 or number 2 spot. I mean, you've got Alexander Usyk number 1. Like, I don't know. Ugh. All I know is that it's early in the morning, and that fight was just that was something else. I just can't seem to get over what I've just witnessed, folks. Like, what have I just watched? I was expecting that to be 2-3 rounds and go to my bed. I've had a really long weekend, and it's my last week of work before traveling away to Thailand. I'm feeling a bit weird emotionally. I'm just like a bit overwhelmed. I just don't know what to do. Like, I'm just baffled. Let's talk about the fight. Fury comes out doing his thing, jipping, jabbing, but then you notice Ngannou landing and it not looking as... I didn't think Ngannou would land a glove on Fury. That's the thing. Ngannou is slow. He's slow, but he's still landing. He's got a piston of a right hand, but he was fighting in southpaw. Cyril Gane outboxed Francis Ngannou, folks. We can just be clear on that. Cyril Gane outboxed him. Yes, MMA gloves, MMA rules. There's the threat of the takedown. There's all this and there's all that. Ngannou must have had some camp, some coaches, and just have been... I don't really want to see Francis Ngannou back in MMA now. I want to see how far he can take boxing. I think Alexander Usyk versus Francis Ngannou would be an unreal fight. What am I even saying? I never thought I'd be saying that. Now, it wasn't a robbery. I did think, okay, Fury just dripped and drabbed them, won a few more rounds, and I had it. I didn't know who they were going to give it to, but I had it 6-4 maybe to Fury, Very close. Maybe a draw could have been an option as well. I realistically thought it would be a draw. I thought when they read out that Ngannou had the first scorecard and Fury had the second one, I was so convinced they were going to make it a draw, because a draw would have just been the best possible result for both. Well, not necessarily. I mean, a win is the best result, but guys, that is mental. That does not give me much confidence in Fury Usyk, but Ngannou Usyk, that will be a fun one. Because obviously Usyk's a little man. He's a cruiserweight coming up. So it's just... wow. That's an interesting prospect. But Fury versus Usyk is what's next, in my opinion. That has to be next. And then Tyson Fury, please retire. You can see he's aging a bit. He's getting a bit slower. He doesn't take a shot as well. Not necessarily that it's the trauma, but you can see it maybe on his face a little bit as well. Yeah, he's just fought Ngannou, but even after fighting Chisora, you could see getting clipped a bit. His resetting isn't as good, or his head movement isn't as good either. You don't really want to be doing outlandish head movement with Ngannou in case you go into something, because then you are fucked. Because Ngannou's a big man, big hands, blunt force trauma. It doesn't take much to knock you out. If Ngannou pushed the pace more in the last 2 rounds, he would have gotten Fury out of there, probably. That's the mental thing to say. And if he had pushed the pace more in the last round, he would have won the fight, which is even more weird to say. I'm baffled. I'm freaked out. That is incredible, and I just want to say, well done, Francis Ngannou. You didn't fumble the bag. I won't apologize for saying it's a mistake, and you've proven a lot of people wrong tonight, including myself. Wow, fair play to you, man. I respect you. All the best. Stay in the boxing game. Forget the PFL. I'd like to see Ngannou box again. I want to see Ngannou versus Usyk, Ngannou versus Joshua. Those would be such fun fights. Joshua versus Ngannou is a brilliant one to do next. That is a fantastic fight to do next. It just makes the most sense. But anyway, folks, I'm going to love you and leave you. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching this reaction. And please subscribe. Check out my vlog channel as well. And wow, what an interesting little fight.